Cauldron Alley, a spider's web of copper heat piping splayed across half the island, powered by a large workforce. This wood-burning power plant on the edge of the island would soon be home to the first site of what would become the first weapon, Annalise, targeted by the mad scientist known as Zael and the handler and company frontrunner Edie. Zael grew tiresome of creature manipulation, or rather, chimera-ifying subjects, and moved on to a new island to start theory crafting. A drugged, blank slate attack dog, if you will. The power of hypnotic suggestion turned out to be effective in his experimenting. He then sought out test subjects for surveillance, and eventually taking kids for test beds. But the one that caught his eye the most, Annalise, the little spitfire of the community, getting into fights and stealing to provide for her sickly mother. The father was clearly a good-for-nothing and left the mother and child early, as he was a drunk and would often physically abuse both Annalise and the mother. One day, he just stopped showing up. For the better, I would think. Zael had him killed. One less obstacle, as a sense of peace befell Annalise and her mother. 6 years would pass, watching the child go about her daily life, and in that time, Edie helped build the infrastructure of what the island would be known for, so Zael could do as he pleases in the background. While Annalise and her mother were on the way to get some market goods, a wild, drugged-out goon sent by Zael brutally stabbed the mother. But the mother would not go down without one hell of a fight, but lost, and the attacker got away. Out of the shadows stepped Edie to console the poor girl and offer training so something like this would never happen again, not just for her, but others if need be. A year passes, and now the 13-year-old Annalise is one hell of a quick study in both hand-to-hand combat, stealth, and more so, firearms handling. More so, pistols, although not too shabby with rifles. She played her part, killing the fabricated targets Zael and Edie made for her, while pumping her full of drugs, hypnotic suggestion, and her own rage. Due to Annalise's strength of will, the drugging and the hypnosis stopped taking effect. And then the sobering reality hit her like a house of bricks. The now 16-year-old Annalise, playing coy until she was so good at her ill-gotten craft, no one could stand against her, and finally made her move to fully break away. She had no equal, and Edie knew it, and turned a blind eye, as Edie also grew afoul of Zael, and started plans of her own to end this in her own way. Annalise had managed to drive Zael and Edie from her home island, and Edie's parting gift was the lies she was told in order to goad her into service. A little while after, she was found on the streets. She was then picked up by Kaya, and together they founded what is now known as the Fox Den, a freedom fighting force. Flash forward 15 years, and now Annalise is 31 years old. She now goes by Anna, She's tried to distance herself from her former weapon status by washing windows, giving food to the less fortunate, and taking in new members of the Fox Den. Like her second, after the role was passed down to her from Kite, Anna became the sister, a nun, as a form of penance for her actions 15 years prior. 15 years removed from that old life. The one piece that remains at her side. Her pistol. Her 1911. Freed her from her weapon status. Well kept, but she let most of her learned skills atrophy after she trained the den to a point better than herself. She also took to taking new members, like her own second in Mimi. The 17-year-old Mimi acts as the den's second in command, the den doctor, den assassin, and civilian doctor for the island's women and young girls, primarily. She rarely takes on male patrons unless it is fellow den members, as there is a doctor for the men and the boys of the island. So little overlap in patients, but the knowledge is shared between the two, on the regular. Although Mimi has full knowledge of both anatomies in full detail, as her parents were doctors, and she was born into it as well. Because of her extensive doctoring knowledge, it made her keenly adept for assassination work, with the full understanding of human hearing, even to the point of understanding the decibel range of a single footfall, and the breath for intent of knowing action before the body even moves. To the point, she could be a single footfall behind you, and you would never know it. The 9-year-old Gigi, the den's smallest. At 4 years old, she was taken into the den by Mimi. During a routine checkup, her mother did not wake up due to a brain aneurysm. She came in on her own, stating, "My mommy didn't wake up." Some red water was pouring out of her nose. Mimi then instantly brought her to Anna and left to Gigi's house to check on the mother. And yes, it was indeed an aneurysm. There was a note clenched in her hand. The note read as follows: "I know my time is short. Mimi, take my daughter to the den. Keep her safe and love her as I have. And tell Sister Anna I'm sorry for the burden, but she's a good girl and will do her best. And am sorry to you as well for having to find me like this, hiding this from you, and for this burden. But what am I to do?" Mimi then took the letter back to Anna in tears the entire way back. She put Gigi to bed, and she was sleeping peacefully. She then gave her the letter to look it over. How could I have not seen this? I'm a doctor, for fuck's sake. She looked as if nothing was wrong. I'm good at picking up on these things. We put on the strongest face when dealing for our loved ones. Mimi broke and buried her face in Anna's shoulder. Her wish will be honored. Yes, it will. And so over the next 5 years, Gigi was lightly trained in the den's ways. She was a quick study. She could see a passage and mimic it back, whether it be a book, a move in martial arts, anything. Mimi knew this to be photographic memory, a 1 in 10,000. It was likely her mother knew all too well, so she took her on walks throughout the entire island. Mimi had a map of the entire island in her head, and then, in her 9-year-old way, crudely drew a very detailed map. Every alley, back road, every house, every market stall, the bird nests. It was all stored in her supercomputer of a brain. Anna and Mimi looked at one another. Gigi, the smallest of us, we grant you to go on missions, only as a scout, only in the care of another den member, and you are never allowed to be on your own. Is that understood? Gigi squeals and backflips in glee, and throws up a V sign for victory and a huge cheeky smile. Mimi, you'll mostly be with me, and I better see you at my hip. Is that understood? Gigi salutes. Yes, done second. She then bows to Anna. Thank you both. After a few missions, she was promoted to Gate Guardian, to which she fully found her calling and took the security of the den as a whole, along with her 4 guard mates, very seriously. To the point she thought of herself as captain. But the eyes of a child can reveal more in a scanning glance if someone is a threat or pure and well met. This was her purpose, and she did it well. I never say this, but if you like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you would like to help further my project, I do have a Ko-fi, or Ko-fi, however the hell you say it, for donations. Weapons Remorse, Ko-fi. Or the QR code will be hopefully on the screen. Yeah. Have a good day.